Please move to the fore, so that at least we do not waste time. Our time is limited. It is nearly 11:50. Thank you so much. I will be facilitating this commission. My name is Thabo Lekhalamitra. I am an employee at Salga. I am based in the Northern Cape chapter of Salga. We collaborate a lot with Salga Gauteng. So I'm going to request that I can see everyone seems to have settled. So I have made a request to the presenters that just to spark debate, perhaps I be allowed just to share some few thoughts. Just be allowed to share some few thoughts, and then we can, I can then call them to come to the fore and do what is expected of them. But I would request that we try to learn as much as possible out of this. Anyone from ICT? I'm just trying to have my presentation appearing here. I just need someone who can just help me so that the presentation, I will just make use of 5 minutes. Come again? Oh, thank you so much. Maybe whilst they are still coming, I would request that we become free. We are not in a church. I know that the pastor has opened for us with a word of prayer, so let us be free. Let us ask questions. Let us engage. Yesterday we had a lecture, and one of the things that was referred to during the lecture by the good academic from Regenesis was the fact that ineffective record keeping, it is a challenge in most of the municipalities. Secondly, we've also seen, you will also see with the pics that we will show here on the presentation, most of the municipalities we've realized that we do not have either qualified, appointed records managers. Secondly, you'll also realize that if you have a problem of not coming to work on Mondays or Fridays after payday, or perhaps you do not meet your deadlines, they take you to records. So anyone and everyone who's not doing well, we dump him or her at records. But then with the lapse of time, we've then realized that common sense approach does not work for records management. If we want to treat it, I hope someone assisting us with IT is coming. I don't want to waste time. I'm just trying to facilitate this so that at least even those who will be coming, their presentations, sharing them, it's not a challenge. Christine, are you able to help us with someone from IT just to ensure that as we fly the presentations, because I have connected the VGA, but it's not showing. And then also one of the challenges that we have is that in records, you have people really who are still using the old methods. But with the lapse of time, we've seen that records has evolved. So in the olden days, those who were working for government departments, you know that you will go to the post office, you will come, get there with a bag, put all the mail inside, come to the office, throw it down, sort it, and give it to people. But that's not records management anymore. During the times of faxes, a fax will come, you will stamp it, and then you will give it to someone. Or fortunately, I hope someone is here. Or had you said this, I would have just If it was a snake, it would have bitten me. Also, the data projector was not connected. Yeah, there it comes. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. Yeah, at least we can see. Are we able to switch off this light? Please, my brother, thanks so much. Now, there are presenters who will be helping us with this commission. Thank you so much. This is then just to ensure that at least we spark a bit of debate. I'll just take 5 minutes. Firstly, we are going to have this conversation as we want to involve our politicians. I will not necessarily go through all their positions or titles, but then also to ensure that we can help our member municipalities to become more compliant with records management, and we apply acceptable practices and systems consistent with the discipline of, don't worry, we will share this presentation of knowledge management and information science. We also then reflect on some potential risks and vulnerabilities of not implementing an effective records management system. And lastly, how does this become a contributor? One of the things that the AG raises is that during an audit, the absence of documentation causes what is called limitation of scope. Like I said, I'm from the Northern Cape. I will not mention the name of the municipality. But where this municipality, the AG was conducting an audit, through the bank statements, payment went through. They wanted the payment pack. Only God knew where it was. It was nowhere to be found. So because of such issues, then the AG would say it's a limitation of scope. We can see that some documents we could get, others we could not get. So record keeping is very important. Also, we would just want to create understanding, create awareness, and ensure that we are all are aware of what we need to do. What is a record? It's clear. What is records management? NARSA also explains what is records management. And then also when we look at the regulatory part in terms of legislation, the Constitution is not silent, Section 32, but then also when you go to Chapter 10 of the Constitution, it speaks of public administrations. There are certain principles that we need to adhere to, and then we have these two twin legislations that I refer to as POPI and PAYA, and also in terms of when we look at the BCEA. Just now, it's a pity we can't see because of the chairs here, but if we remember, there was a case at the municipality of George where there was a collapse. I'm not sure. Do we remember? George in the Western Cape. Do we remember that case? The number of employees who were on duty on that day could not be confirmed. So even for you to be here, for us to have an accurate record that you attended yesterday, you attended today, and you are attending tomorrow, there's one thing that is going to assist you. It's called an attendance register. So records management is very important. If you go to archives, this document, it's there, that says that when records are uncertain, we cannot give proper information. Go to the website, Google about the story of George. You would realize that employees who went on, who reported, how many of them were South Africans, how many of them were undocumented, also how many of them on that day got hurt or did not get hurt. Such things. I spoke of POPI. When you read section 62, subsection 1 of the MFMA, the AO, the MM or the accounting officer is responsible to ensure that there are systems in place. The late AG spoke of the challenges of ineffective record keeping. Of the 257 municipalities by then, there were only 18 that were receiving clean audits. But then also we know that the report, the recent one of the 257, we only had about 34. So we are still struggling. Of the 9 issues that the AG had raised then, the issue of ineffective record keeping was coming also as a major contributor. Now, these are the benefits that we will have in place if we have effective record keeping. Obviously, value for money, AG will get documents and decision makers will be able to know. Importance of this with regards to SCM, You can see that business continuity, protection of info, accountability and responsibility, confidence and access to information. We start from here, at least with saying that we are getting our things in order. From here, we move here if we take ourselves much serious. And now with archival evolution, then we move to where informations, also not information, document is then, or our data or our information as municipality is then stored in a cloud. But that takes time for us to develop these systems. Now, if we do not have a system in place, this is what we get. You get to a municipality. When I grew up as a boy, there's what we called TIP. I'm not sure what is it called here, but in English, maybe you'll call it a landfill site, where you would go to a landfill site. So some of the storages, and I'm saying this with respect, you get to a storage of a municipality where records are kept. You don't know where to start. Ask yourself, if you are an auditor and you are looking for a contract that was entered to 15 years ago, and you get into such a space, where do you start to look at? And the people who were working there, they are no more there. So we are saying that there are opportunities for us to go forward. Obviously, like I said, that we can share this presentation. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. But then lastly, this is what we want to put as possible recommendations for this commission. One, we need management buy-in. You'll realize that most of the municipalities, when we go and discuss issues of records management, the SMT, senior management team of a municipality, just take it that, man, this is a small thing. We must also do away with common sense approach. We just find someone who has studied theology, and then he knows how to arrange his documents. Please, I'm saying this with due respect. And then we put him or her, records manager. But then the person does not understand that there needs to be an approved file plan. We need to have policies in place. We need to have procedures in place. If you come and you ask for a document, you must sign for it. Do we have such processes in place? We might not have them. And then lastly, we also just want to say that to ensure that at least we move somewhere, if HR, finance, ICT, and records management can work together, form what is called a records management committee, and see if documents are centralized. You go to one municipality, records, they keep their own, HR, they keep their own, mayor's office, they keep their own, finance keep their own. When it is auditing, you will go to all these sections looking for documents. It's time wasting, time consuming, and still you do not get it. Lastly, like I said that we will share this presentation. Lastly then, the organization that I work for, SALGA, before 2007, it was swimming in disclaimer reports, audit reports. And the only way that helped us to be where we are, now I think this is our 12th or 13th year, with unqualified, we know that there's nothing called clean audit, but with unqualified audit reports without matters of emphasis or nothing else raised, it is because we had to get our record keeping unit in order. Secondly, we then came up with a system called Paper Trail that we outsourced at SALGA, and we are currently using it. So we are here to say that it can be done, but it needs management buy-in. You as councillors who are here, hold us accountable in council to ensure that we have these systems in place. If not, then it will be a challenge. Without any waste of time, I'm going to request then that according to our program, we have our speakers that have been pre-arranged to talk to us regarding this topic of records management. According to the program, we have Mr. Sipho Zulu. Mr. Sipho Zulu is the lead presenter who will be talking to us in terms of records management and supply chain. I would request that if he is here, he joins me to the fore. Can we give him a round of applause? And then I would also then request that Dr. Makutla Mojapelo, who is coming from the University of South Africa, he comes to the fore. Can we please give him a round of applause? And then we also then have Mr. Sizwe Mbuyisa, also coming from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, he's been replaced by someone else. I would ask the lady to come and join us in front. You said Buitumelo? Ms. Buitumelo Chabalal. Did I say it well? Oh, Tabalaka. Oh, sorry for that, ma'am. My apologies. Can we also give a round of applause? And then we have our comrade here, Mr. Paul Marlin, who has been an ambassador of records management. I'll ask him to come to the fore. Can we give him a round of applause as well? Thank you so much. So I am going to start first with Mr. Sipho Zulu. Mr. Sipho Zulu will then talk to us about records management or the interrelation between records management and supply chain. We know that in supply chain, we work with purchase orders, RFQs, requisitions. There are bid committees. There are minutes that they deal with. There are all this other documentation out of the SCM process. Then from there on, my sister in black, I did not introduce you. May I please have your name so that I also introduce you too? Thank you so much. Ms. Bongile Mbele from National Archives. Can we please give her a round of applause? Thank you so much. So our team is here, well represented, and you are here as well. So we will be taking presentations. They will talk to us. I'm not sure what will be the best, whether you would want to speak to their presentations, because we are going to have this as a interactive conversation. So maybe let me first start then, according to the program, with Mr. Sipho Zulu. Mr. Sipho Zulu, over to you. What do you want me to? Oh, no, it's okay. Which one is it? Is it this one? The one. I don't know how you said it. Oh. Is it this one? SCM and records. Is this one? Yeah, it's this one. Mr. Zulu, over to you, sir. Can we give him a final round of applause? He's coming all the way from the University of Johannesburg. There's a card here, lost and found. It says R.E. Monyai. Maybe I must just tap it and see if it is working. But I will leave it here for now. Over to you, sir. Oh, no. Let me rather leave it here. We will give it to the right person. With due respect. Is it you, man? I'm not from here, so I don't know. Sorry for that. We'll give it to you at the right time. Let me allow Mr. Zulu, please, to present. We will deal with the card. Don't worry, we will not tap it. We will deal with the card later on. Mr. Zulu, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Now, in the meantime, I'll keep the card. Yeah. Okay, colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Sipho Zulu. I'm from the University of Johannesburg. I'm the manager of archives and special collections. I've been working in archives since 2005. Colleagues, today, mine is just to give you the basics of records management. I'm not going to go there. My colleagues will take it from there. Then I think they will take it further from my presentation. So as you can see, the telephone, you can call me at any time if maybe you want to talk to me about any other thing. So I think the first speaker has laid a very good foundation with pictures so that you can see what is good records management, what is bad records management. So in this case, I will start by outlining the interconnectedness of records management and SCM. Records supply chain processes generate a significant amount of records, such as purchase orders and invoices. The time before we started, one colleague of ours here said, you know what, even though we have 3 commissions, others they are going out to attend to their commissions, but at the end, records management is central to everything. So they will come back and submit to you to say, these are the records that need to be kept safety so that they can be consulted in the near future. So when it's come to records management, it ensures that these documents are properly handled and stored. That actually is the basis of records management. And there are also issues of compliance and auditing when it's come to supply chain. Institutions have strict regulations concerning the documentation of supply chain activities. I think supply chain office, they are creating a lot of records on a daily basis. There's no hour or a day where it passes without you or the people who are responsible for SCM creating records. So when it's come to records management, proper records management ensures that organization can provide evidence of compliance during audit. I think the first speaker has outlined on that how important it is when it's come to the auditing period, and how sometimes people get shaken when the auditors are around their institution. You'll see people moving up and down. That is clear that there was no proper records management, because if the auditors come and you know that you know your story, you just ask them what are they looking for, then you just provide easily like that. You don't even take time to retrieve such records that will be required by auditors. So inventory and procurement records, accurate tracking and management of inventory and process and procurement records are essential for effective supply chain management. Well, and then the records management system helps keep a well-organized records of these transactions. I'm still going on with my presentation. You'll understand what is needed as the records officers or records practitioners, what exactly that you need to have so that your institution can be able to come out safe when it's come to auditing and other requirements of records. So I decided to look at this treasury regulations. If you look from page 43 of treasury regulations, they are talking about the availability of financial information. So that's where actually the records management play a huge part, because whatever reports that is needed, whatever annual report, sometimes it is a responsibility of a records practitioner to ensure that whatever records that is required in an institution, we are able to avail it and on time. You don't need to spend a lot of time, maybe a week, to say, no, we are still looking for that what you call approved memorandum or approved submissions. You need to be able to go there in your storeroom where you keep the records and able to retrieve it. So when you look at the treasury regulations, I think most of the public institutions or government departments, they use the treasury regulations. So they even put, they even outline the disposal period of some of the records that you are handling. Like for example, when you look at the general ledger and cash books, they are saying that approximately at least 15 years. After 15 years, that's where you can be able to dispose such records. And then other records like primary evidential records include copies, forms issued for value. They are saying at least after 5 years. Actually, you know, when you are having, let's say you are resigning from your municipality can keep your personal files. It's not an archival record. At the end of the day, it needs to be disposed. They can keep your personal file, maybe at least whatever period, maybe a period of 5 years, or others, they decide to keep it for the period of 10 years, according as per your file plan dictate. So these are the periods of dispositions of your records that are outlined from the treasury regulations. I'm not going to focus more on that because our business of today is to actually outline more on records management. So even there on treasury regulations, there are conditions. There are conditions. When the financial information is required as an evidence in proceedings before a court, parliament, or provincial legislature, an official inquiry or otherwise for purpose of audit, it must be secured in a current form until no longer required. Even the National Archives has authorized its disposal. Even from until no longer required, even if the National Archivist has authorized its disposal. I'm using National Archivist here because National Archivist is an umbrella body when it's come to archives and records management, but we do have Gauteng Provincial Archives. My colleague here, Moitumela, will be maybe outlining more on that during discussions. There is a National Archives, there are provincial archives in all the provinces. In all 9 provinces, there are provincial archives. I mean, there are provincial archives. Those provincial archives are responsible for the government departments, municipalities, and any other institution within the communities, even the churches. If maybe they want to donate non-public records, they can do so. So they are responsible for all the records management within the province. So here in this case, it is Gauteng Provincial Archives. So I think the first speaker has explained the records management. What is the meaning of records management? Is a process of ensuring the proper creation, maintenance, use, and disposal of records to achieve efficient, transparent, and accountable governance. That means from the beginning, from the creation of records up until the retirement of that records created, it needs to be under the very strict management of somebody who's responsible for managing records. It's either a records officer, some institution they call them records practitioners, others they call them records managers. But that one is debatable because as we have said that when we need a buy-in, you need to have at least a manager at the level of a management, the person responsible for records. Because if everybody in that unit is junior and they're reporting to somebody who's senior, who belongs to another unit, that's where the records management is suppressed within different municipalities and government departments. So, importance of records management. It is essential for good governance. Good governance is when the auditors come and they are able to find what they are looking for, is where any other member of the public, you are not doing this thing for auditing only, any other member of the public, if they are looking for some records that maybe maybe an application that was submitted or whatsoever record, they need to be able to find that record. So what I'm trying to say is that don't be misled to say we are doing this only for auditing, but for service delivery. Because without having records, we are without able to retrieve records, that means we are failing service delivery. Because you'll be making the life of the community to be difficult when they come to attend to your institution. And it is also essential for efficient and effective administration, provide a basis for accountability. Because records, that's what they say. That's why we are saying that we keep records for evidential purpose, for accountability, and for different other reasons. Even in court, when they are looking for some records, you need to be able to account and say these are the records. If not, that means you are also part of the problem. Because it's either you have destroyed that records purposefully because you know that it can create a problem for somebody, or you are covering for somebody else. So you are also part of that if they know that the records, the last person to have that records, it was you. And then it also protects the rights of the individual. I think that that is covered. Legal responsibilities and prescribed functions and administrative value. And it also public access through transparency. Go to the hospitals that you are looking for for the patient file, and then you are unable to find it, and the person is sick at that time. And you don't even know what to do because the officials will tell you that we can't find that file. So what needs to be done then? Then you'll go on through the process of complaining up until the hospital manager, but you are not finding help on time. Because what is important is that when you get there, you need to be able to find assistant on time, not to wait for a month after complaint to say, now we find it after a month. And then proper care and proper management and care of recorded information. There are different types of records. The electronic records, some slides are going to cover that here in my presentation. It also maintains evidence of business transactions. For every transaction in government, or record is created. For every transaction, record is created. Whether it's about finance, whether it's about the program or the project or the outreach project that you are doing, there will be a record that will be created at the end of the day. So, the main crucial aspect of records management is preservation of institutional and social memory. That's why we are working in archives. In archives, in a nutshell, we just say we are keeping history. Where I'm working, I'm saying I'm keeping history of the university, even though there are different other groups of records that are there. That doesn't speak directly to the university, but I'm keeping history of the university as well as the history of the province, because our jurisdiction is within the Gauteng province. So whatever archival material that are created in Gauteng or rather in Johannesburg, that's what we are interested in. But those that belongs to other provinces, they are the responsibilities of those provincial archives in those particular provinces. So evidence of official transactions, reference purpose, organization functionality, audit trail and record track, and operational continuity. If you resign today, tomorrow we shouldn't say that the person who was working here is the one who knows what happened. We don't know. But a new person that will occupy the office by tomorrow will be able to go through looking at the file plan and able to trace the records where they are filed. It is going to be simple as that. That's why it is important to manage our records. So as I'm presenting, because they said I'm a lead presenter, that's where you'll be identifying some of the things that I'm saying and try to connect it with your own municipality and see if it's happening or if it's not happening. If it's not happening, this commission responsibility is to ensure that how can you put that on paper so that when it's presented, it can be considered at a later stage. So the important features of records management, for you to know that you are practicing records management or you're practicing a good records management practice, you need to have a records management policy. You need to have a policy, and that policy must be enforced within that particular municipality. You need to have a file plan. A file plan is to know what records that you are having and where to file it. Because you cannot mix everything together, because if you mix everything together, it would be exactly like that image that was shown to you earlier on, where you'll spend months looking for one record because everything is just all together. Then you need to have a records control schedule to know when that particular record has to retire or when it's going to be cut off, the cut-off period of that record. That is a disposal period where you know that when you dispose, you don't destroy. It's not like you say you must destroy the records. That's where you appraise. After appraisal, that's where you know that, okay, these records need to be transferred to archives, these records need to be retained within the office, or rather these records need to be disposed. Because I'm having maybe a medical aid. If I leave my medical aid now, maybe they will keep my record for the period of 5 years for whatever thing, for whatever needs. Sometimes I need to account to SARS. I will need my my medical certificate, and so on and so on. But after 5 years, they will inform me that after 5 years, we are going to dispose these records. It's not going to be available to us because now we have joined a new medical aid. So don't expect us that you'll still have your records even after 10 years. Or rather, within that period that is stipulated. So there are different kinds of record storage. In our normal practice in archives, we know that, as I've said, that there is an internal records center. Your internal records center, don't be misled. Your internal records center is not archives. There's only one archives in the province. There's only one Gauteng Provincial Archives. What you have there is where you keep your records temporarily up until they are appraised as per the file plan or as per the records schedule. That's where those records you'll be contacting. You need to call as we are all here. I believe that we are from different municipalities. You need to connect directly with the Gauteng Provincial Archives and say we are having these records. I think we are no longer using them. They are no longer current records. What do we do? Then they will come and advise. Firstly, maybe they will come for the inspection to advise you what you need to do. Then secondly, maybe they will be telling you that you need to apply for a disposal authority certificate so that they can issue a certificate to say, now you can dispose these records, or they will tell you with this part of records, you can transfer them to archives. Oh, yeah, I think I'm running out of time. Before we used to keep our records on CDs, USB, all those things that are obsolete now. As the first presenter said, now we are having a cloud system, storage system. I think my colleagues will be expand on that one. And then, what is poor records keeping? When it's come to poor records keeping, I think this one is more important because you will be able to provide the answers when you start discussions. Not knowing what the other hand is doing, you are in your office, you don't know what is happening in the other offices. There is no records flow, straight maybe to registry where you can find the records. Having hundreds of copies of the same document, you don't even know which one is original, which one is not original. Keeping stacks of files on your office desk behind the doors. Then come the time of the AG visit, the inability to provide proof of what was done. And then there are causes of that poor records management. Lack of top management support, I think it was highlighted earlier on. Lack of appointment of records managers, lack of effective authority for records managers to enforce proper records practice. They need to have a freedom to work. They need to have a freedom to say, this office is not complying, therefore we are having a problem. At the end, we are not going to be able to keep the records effectively. Poor or no use of designated central registry, because people, they regard their offices as a registry on its own. They keep records in your own cabinet, and then only to find that records are no longer available centrally. And then not using approved file plans, because whenever you file, you need to follow the file plans. No central control of corporate records, unauthorized destruction, deletion of records, inadequate equipment, resources management, lack of provision of training of records custodians and users of the proper records management, practice causes like workshops and sessions. I'm like really in a rush now because of time. Goods record system contains complete and comprehensive file, thereby enable effective decision making, and it provides integrity and continuity, reduces the possibilities of misfiling and duplication. Sound records management system will help you increase efficiency and productivity, enhance compliance and regulatory. There are also results of records management. I think there are also talks to what I've just said, clean audits sometimes, or unqualified audits, if there's no such, that is called clean audit, and effective retrieval of records. And then what is the responsibility of the municipality then when it's come to records management? Ensuring that records management is an objective in an organizational strategic plan. It needs to be there at all times. Even in the top management meetings, there must be, records manager needs to sit there in those meetings on the basis of ensuring that your principal are understanding what's the importance of records management, identifying and acknowledging the current status of records keeping, managing situation and challenges thereof, ensuring that there are mechanisms in place to monitor compliance to sound records management practice, ensuring that there is a records practitioner responsible for records management, and they need to be able to get support as equal as any other, the so-called important units within the municipalities. That's what is needed. Having said that, colleagues, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure what will be the pleasure of the House. Should we take all presentations, or would you want to engage with this one now? 1-1. So it's okay. I think this 1-1. We have Mr. Sipho Zulu here. Just maybe so that we are all aware, we requested our presenters to come and sit here because of the lightning, so they will come back again. Mr. Zulu, let us give him another round of applause again. What I've gathered, it's a lot of things, but I just want to mention this one. Records management must play a strategic role in the IDP of a municipality. So when you go to your SDBIP, Service Delivery Budget Implementation Plan, if there's no records manager there as a municipality, it's time to say, next year, when you have your budget consultations and when you do your budget for 2026, you must then ensure that you have a qualified records manager. Maybe let me just check, just to spike debates, how many municipalities are here? And just maybe through show of hands, do all municipalities that are here have appointed records managers? Yes, no. Yes, no. There's a hand here. There's a hand here. Auri Tuseka, Mike. You want to speak, ma'am? Oh, it's okay. But because of that, that's the other challenge as well. If we are municipalities and we do not have a dedicated practitioner, as Mr. Zulu have said, for records management, how are we going to ensure that we have effective record keeping? Like if I had to ask you here, if you had to go to a municipality and request the first minutes of the first council meeting after 1994, do we have surety that you will find them? Mr. Zulu said, all he is doing for the university, he is keeping history of the university through the work that he does. For an example, when I was born, after a few years, OR Tambo changed to OR Tambo. How will our children know that before it was OR Tambo, it was called with another name? OR Tambo International Airport. What was it called before? It was called Jan Smart. I was asking my daughter the other day, I'm from Kimberley. That's why you saw the big hole. I was asking my daughter the other day to say, ask your teacher whether is she aware to say, what was the airport of Kimberley before? And my daughter had to go to Google to answer me. Now, records plays a very important role. So let me allow those who have questions of clarity to engage with Mr. Zulu. Are there any hands for Mr. Zulu? I see 1, I see 2, I see 3, I see 4. Do you only have one mic? Or there's a mic there. Can you please start here? Yeah, there's a mic from the lady. Can we please start here? Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much. Mr. Zulu will note all the questions and respond later.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Maybe use this one.
Thank you very much. Yes, record keeping is absolutely very necessary. And it's just in most municipalities where there is corruption, it is definitely because of bad record keeping. And that is why how things are being pushed under the carpet. My question is, if your municipality doesn't keep good records, what avenues can you follow to rectify that?
Very important question. Mr. Zulu has noted it. Second question, maybe going forward, please just say who you are from which municipality.
Okay, my name is Councillor Cole from Mogale City. So I heard the presentation, but from the facilitator, when he presented, he said we are too far to make a record keeping in a cloud, but Mr. Zulu was saying the cloud one is the one that it is necessary. So my question is to say, you are saying we must have a buy into our municipality. So then you give us the plan to say we must have a management policy and a plan and record schedule. So on all those things, we have documents that are missing. Let's say maybe we have in a IDP of 5 years or 10 years ago. Then it was not implemented. Then it is left out. No tracing, no everything. Then when we want to check it, how can we do it in the near future so that each and everyone must be addressed properly? When we go to check it, then we get the records. That's a thing.
This one is around retrieval of records. Thank you so much. There was a hand at the back, then we will come this side. But there was a hand there at the back. No, is this Mr. Marokani? Yeah, Mr. Marokani.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Sella Marokani. Yeah, I understand the importance of the record management as outlined by the presenter there. What I wanted to check with you is how do we ensure we protect the records? For instance, you can have archives where you put your documents and so forth. But in order to ensure that they're protected, what kind of systems do you have in place? Both manual and electronic. Because one of the things that has been identified as a challenge in record management is that sometimes people, towards the audit process, they've got a tendency of manipulating the records to suit them in order to ensure that they achieve a particular goal. For instance, you will find, for instance, the meetings of the council or the bid adjudication committees, wherein a particular service provider was appointed and so forth, but the information was not properly captured there. So when the auditor comes, they will play a delaying tactics in order to ensure that they manipulate, they change the minutes. Um, I sorry, my daughter is an auditor. Ne? She told me that she was auditing one of the municipalities I won't mention. So when they requested the minutes wherein the board took a decision to approve the salaries of the employees there, the minutes were not there. They said they'll give them the minutes the following day. And overnight, the minutes were cooked. Ne? They were cooked, they produced the minutes, and then they were signed by they got the board, the chairperson of the board, and then that's where they proved that the minutes was there, and then salaries were approved there. Not knowing that the auditors can be able to check on the system as to when and how the minutes were written. And it shows that it was written the night before. But they were saying the meeting took them 2 months ago. So I just wanted to check with you, in terms of the protection. I know we are moving towards AI, but how do we have systems that to ensure that we don't have incidences where people will be able to access those documents and manipulate them? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that one is around the integrity of information. There was a hand this side. Please just go to the point.
Thank you very much, and let us welcome the presentation by Mr. Zulu. My name is Tandokazi Stefane from Randwest City Local Municipality. I am a councillor serving at MPEC. The latter speaker just covered me on some other items. Mr. Zulu also presented the issue that even a public servant, if they are looking for a document, maybe that they submitted, let's say maybe for example a CV, they were in adverts, and now that CV of that public servant is not found. Because of we are serving in the MPEC, obviously those things won't come to us, but where can that person go? Because they know that they have submitted a CV in the municipality, but then now they can't find it, the person is not called for an interview. And the other one that I wanted to check and also ask, as MPEC councillors, in most cases, when we are dealing with an item, Section 79, we give the supply chain or the finance time, a period of time to answer our questions. But you find out that even when that time arrives, there are no information that we are looking for it. I wanted to check if can we not give them maybe a time, like a period time of a month, because if the information is kept in cloud or with a CV, a CD or the USB, it must not take them a month to give us what we are looking for, because it goes back to what the latter speaker was saying, that they are going to cook it if it's not there. So what exactly the period time that can we give to maybe to the supply chain when we are looking for the answers and when we are dealing with our items? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think this one is around the frequency of the time limit regarding accessing information. That should find expression in our policy, but the question is welcome. There was another hand here, or all hands, or there was a hand here, yes. Mahlakwan. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I believe I'm protected. My name is Shoni Defuto. I'm from Mfuleni Local Municipality. I just needed to appreciate the presentation from Mr. Zulu, and also just to stress on the point where we usually get confusion in terms of what records management is about in municipalities. I've looked at the slide, and there was somewhere where they indicated problem of storage, and then we also spoke about the file plan. So I just needed to stress that we should not be confused as people that are doing archiving, as you said, Mr. Zulu. Usually people will come to records to say, we don't have space to keep our records. This is where people get it wrong. So I just needed to share that it's important to utilize those tools, those mandatory tools, from the beginning. Giving an example that when a child is born, we are given a certain period to say register on the population register. So the same as when people generate records, they must make it a point that those records are classified. So I also just needed to share that on the buying by senior management, we are fortunate as Mfuleni municipality, my colleague will agree. There is not, we implementing a file plan, a new file plan, and our municipal manager cannot sign a document if it doesn't have a reference number. So I just needed to indicate that it is doable, but senior management has to really support us. And from where we're standing, we are able to roll on with the records management project freely and able to express from where we are, because we are valued, we are seen as people that are adding value on the objectives of the municipality. Thank you.
I'm going to request that you please listen for 5 minutes max to respond to all the questions, and then thereafter we. Thanks, Mr. Zulu.
Thank you, colleagues. I think the last speaker has answered all the questions. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, cause yeah. Colleagues, if I can tackle the question number 1. We are guiding by laws or legislative framework as we are working on records management or in archives. So if you look at the National Archives Act, at the end of the act, that's where you check there are penalties involved. If somebody, what you call, destroy a record unauthorized, or if somebody decided to tear a page maybe in a record, because that is a problem that sometimes we faced in archives. You'll find that you'll give somebody, once I was working at a Northwest province, there was a group of people from somewhere around Pretoria. They were doing a research about, actually they had their own squabbles concerning the chieftainship. So when they get to archives, they requested the records, then we provided all the records. Then later they demanded that, you know what, these are our records, they are about our history, and there's a matter that is currently at court, we are taking these records. Then we refused. We said, you are not going to do that. By law, we are custodian of these records. If you look at the National Archives Act, even the Provincial Act, they are not supposed to be outside the objectives of the National Archives Act. So because of that, what we did, we said we send one archivist to look at them while they are working. Because now we are no longer trusting them, what they are going to do with their records. If maybe there's one page that is that they see that it might be against them when they, because these records are supposed to be taken to court. So the only time when we release the records is when we are getting the request from the court. And that's where we release the records. And there's a policy on that maybe the court can loan the records maybe for the period of 60 days. Then we issue the records to the court. Then they will update us that maybe the matter is still continuing, so they're still holding these records as part of the evidence. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that an act is a law document on its own. And then there's a National Archives, there's a Provincial Archives. If people are not practicing a good records management, those loopholes, they always show during the time of audit. They always show if maybe there are matters at hand, then we are able to account on those matters, by providing records. So it's a management issue at the end of the day. Firstly, it is a management issue. Then after that, I don't know, when it's come to municipalities, like Isalga, what is your policy saying to those municipalities that are not complying when it's come to records management? I wouldn't overreach on that, because sometimes you'll find that the matter needs to start internally before it even goes outside. And then coming to, I didn't I didn't go deep when it's come to cloud system, because my colleague, the next presenter, lead presenter, I think is going to be focusing on that. That's what we have discussed. So, but cloud system, it is, I mean, we are moving with times. We cannot say because there are loopholes. There were loopholes even when it's come to the physical management of records. Even when it's come to this electronic system and the cloud system, there are also loopholes, but you just need to have good IT people, I don't know, or technical people to manage that, because there are issues of hacking of records. If you heard of Wiki, that there are a lot internationally. Records are being hacked while they are stored on clouds. So there are those issues. And then when it's come to missing records, the answer is missing because there is a poor records management, or is missing because there is a human factor that is involved. Because that one is not easy to control. If somebody decides to steal, stealing, that's a criminal act, you know. To steal a record purposefully, and then you hide it because you know that you don't want to account, maybe during the audit and so on, that is crime. And I think subs it can be reported if maybe there's an evidence that that person has really stole that record, unless if it just disappeared. That's another process that needs to be engaged by the institution. So, but at the end of the day, the people who are in authority when it's come to records management and archives, it is the National Archives. And even them, they will be reacting on those things that are there in an act. If something is outside act, obviously sometimes it belongs to subs, it is a criminal offense. And then when it's come to protected records, the physical records management I'm talking about, not electronic, the way the manual management of records, we used to ensure that every after meeting, the minutes are signed by the chair, as well as maybe by the scriber, or by the, yeah, as well as maybe by the scribe. So if those minutes are signed, that records, it's not supposed to be kept in one's office. It's supposed to flow to the registry. That's where it's supposed to be found, not in one's office. But for the sake of there are some group of people who can gather and able to create a records, the records that were supposedly to be created long time ago. That means there is a loophole somewhere in terms of records management, because whatever record that is created, it needs to flow straight to registry. And then when the auditors comes, they can ask you a question as a user, as an end user maybe, but you'll say, then you can make a call that to say at the registry, they need to provide you 1, 2, 3. And those records, that's how they need to be accessed actually. And then coming to, I was just making an example of CVs. Actually, there are processes in different institutions. Maybe once the post has been advertised, and then once the post is filled actually, maybe the institution, they decide, okay, we'll keep all the CVs maybe for the period of 6 months or 3 months. If there are no queries, no contestation to say no, so-and-so was not supposed to be employed and so on, maybe after a period of 6 months, then all those CVs will be disposed, you know. It's not that they need to be kept for longer. And then even on this one, we also need, the period of time, we also need to have, it must be there in a policy of records management. And then the tools, I think the last speaker, it was just a comment to say, maybe we can check the good practice or the good standards at Mfuleni municipality, and that's where maybe some of us, we can learn from them, how are they doing it to get the buy-in and other things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to request that going forward, we try to move with speed and precision. At this juncture, I will request Dr. Mojapilo. Dr. Mojapilo is here. If he can just come to the fore, make his presentation. As he comes, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you so much. We switched it off, but I think I have your presentation here. Let me then just check. Yeah, here is it. Oh, no problem. Oh, no, it's fine. Then in that case, let's then just put it here. This will fit. We need a stick. or can I lift someone that is liftable just to press it? I think they're trying to get someone. Maybe, would you mind to continue so long, Dr. Mojapelo? Please proceed.
Thank you so much, and it's afternoon. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thanks for the opportunity. You know, when my sister, when she was saying the chairs are not comfortable and there is something wrong with the chairs, I did not listen. So now I messed up with my trouser here. So I just thought I should just make that disclaimer so that you don't ask yourself questions. Why is his trouser torn and so forth? Yeah, so that is the results of the our situation there. But I'm happy to be here. I thought, okay. I just want to make sure that you see the... Okay. 10. All right. I'm having 10 minutes. I think I'm going to rush through the slides. So this is my name, and this is the topic that I wanted to share with you. And this is the roadmap for my presentation. I will just lay the groundwork, the context, the OGP commitments, the literature, digital transformation, and the free and open source softwares. And also I will just close the presentation. But I want us to shift our thinking when coming to the issue of records management, because it looks like with the previous presentation, we all agree that records management is the backbone of each and every organization. But in most cases, when you think of records management, we only think of our internal processes or our internal benefits, but we forget about the society out there, because with this records management that we are creating in the organization, especially with the municipalities where you deal directly with the people, because my understanding of the municipalities is that you inspire hope for the hopeless people. If you go to Limpopo, somewhere in Gamolepo, and ask anybody about the Department of International Relations, they may not even know if such department exists. But you ask them about the municipality, they will tell you that I know about this municipality because I'm enjoying the benefits of that municipality. So these are some of the things that we need to think of when you think of records management. Because there are some people who believe that with the recent disasters that we've experienced, like the floods in KZN, some people believe that actually records management or especially records management within the municipalities, they are expected to ensure that people are informed about these disasters, and they can do that through portals where people can just retrieve information and learn, and then help to prepare for such disasters in future. But now we've got several pieces of documents in South Africa that promotes open government. Because as a municipalities, we want to be transparent. We want to ensure that we are open so that each and everyone is well informed about what we are doing, how much are we receiving, what have we spent, and all sorts of things. So these are the documents that promote open government in South Africa. You have your constitution, you have your PAIA, you have your National Archives, you have your Batupile Principles, the Municipal Finance Management Act, and then you have the Protection of Personal Information Act. So all of them, they advocate for transparency and accountability and also good governance. I'm not sure if you know about this organization. By the way, South Africa is one of the founding members for this organization, the Open Government Partnership. So with this organization, it advocates for transparency, especially the fiscal transparency, and also the openness and accountability in the public sector. So with each and every year, the members of this organization are expected to submit the action plan in terms of what are you going to do as a country to promote transparency. And when you look at action plan, commitment number 2 of our 2024 to 2026 action plan, it talks about the open data transparency across 3 spheres of government. And that is where the country is relying on municipalities to actually achieve this particular commitment. So now, if you check the open budget survey, it was published in 2017. So South Africa was one of the first countries that have actually demonstrated high level of fiscal transparency. And there is a portal called Vuleka Mali. I think it's administered by the Department of Treasury. So that department actually put us on a map to say we are committed to be transparent when coming to the allocation and all sorts of things that has to do with the money. And by the way, we are competing with other countries from Europe, because if you check number 3, it's just that the screen is blurry, but number 3 is Sweden. And Sweden, it's one of the European countries. In fact, it's one of the countries that passed the freedom of information legislation, like our PIA. Sweden was the first country in the world to pass this particular legislation. So we are competing with this particular country in terms of the fiscal transparency. But also we've got the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution. I think it's based at the CSIR. And that organization, it's also working with municipalities like City of eThekwini, City of Joburg, I think even Ekurhuleni. They are trying to develop a framework where municipalities can, embrace this concept of openness. And they've got a project that they are collaborating with these municipalities. So it means that as we manage records within the municipalities, there is a need for us to just shift our thinking to say, we've been worrying a lot about the Auditor General. And we forget that there are other organizations that are actually watching us in terms of what we are doing. And this is the area of my concern. We've been talking a lot about the Auditor General, but now there is a new organization called the Information Regulator, because it's also, it's also after municipalities. They've been complaining about the municipalities, and I'm also sharing the Human Rights Commission here because they were responsible for PIA until they handed over the PIA responsibilities to the Information Regulator. And they are saying only 51 out of 257 municipalities submitted Section 32 report. And I mean, everyone can submit it, can compile a Section 32 report. Even myself, if you can say, please compile the Section 32 report for our organization, I can do that. But here, they failed to submit this section, because it's just a statistic. It's just a matter of saying we received 10 PIA requests and we granted 2, maybe we granted partially 3 requests and then we rejected. It's just about statistics, but the municipalities are failing. And why? Because they can't even remember if they received a PIA request. Why? Because the records management system is collapsing. They can't trace how many requests they received and how many requests they granted in full or partially. But on the other hand, you've got the Auditor General. I think we talked about that this morning and even with the previous presentation. So now, insights from the literature. These people are talking about the records management status in the municipalities. And they are actually arguing that there is a need for digital transformation within the municipalities, because our current records management system, it's not reliable, and it's not sustainable. So there's a need for us to work on that. And others are also talking about the usage of force. If we believe that procuring the proprietary records management systems might be too expensive, then there's a need for us to consider other options where we can manage records in a low resource economy. So now, the issue of digital transformation is very much important, because somebody talked about the situation where people tried to cook minutes overnight. And in an online environment, it might be difficult for you to do something like that. Like, for example, somebody once said that people who are always on corruption, they hate records management. Why? Because if the records management are proper, you always leave an audit trail. So it's very much simple for you to check in terms of what was done, what time, and who did that. But then in a paper environment, it might not be easy for you to trace as to what have actually happened with the records management. So we have a lot of systems within the organizations, but the problem is that when you check these systems, they lack interoperability. So there is no connection between the systems. And we can't come and say, okay, fine, then let's just have one system that deals with the whole records within the organization. Because already, if I can tell you, all the municipalities have got systems. It might not be a records management system, but the matter of fact is that what you put into that system is information. What you put into that system is records. So now there's a need for if ever there's another system that deals with the records management, then there's a need for this system to speak to each other, because we are one municipality. So some people advocated for the use of force. Force, in simple terms, is a free and open source software. And in fact, in South Africa, we passed the force policy in 2007. But we have actually noted that a lot of organizations are very reluctant in terms of using this force software. So with force software, you just get the software for free. What you need to do is just to get people to maintain that particular software, but you don't buy it. But we also have other systems where you need to pay the service provider for you to procure this particular force. And there are a lot of issues that people are talking about when coming to the issue of force. And others are saying they lack support from the senior management in terms of implementing this force. And also the issue of awareness. A lot of people are not even aware that there are other systems that you can just get for free and then just spend money on maintenance. So, a lot of countries are using force. You've got the Australia, the New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the USA. They actually encourage government institutions to use the force software. And one of the reasons why these countries they actually want to use this force software is because some of the force are developed in the very same country. So they don't want to use the systems that are developed by foreign countries. Because remember, when you deal with records, you deal with sensitive information, you deal with top secrets information and all sorts of things. So even when you get the service provider, you need somebody that you can trust and rely on. And then the North America is actually the biggest contributor in terms of the adoption of force. And the United Kingdom, the National Archives have established a file format registry and a force instrument for format documentation utilizing the registry. and these are other countries that are actually promoting the usage of force. So if these countries believe and trust in the usage of force, why can't we also do the same thing? Because the usage of force in South Africa is very low, and we've got the policy that promote that. So it's either you decide to use a force, or you decide to use the proprietary. But then the bottom line is that these are some of the things that you need to look at when you adopt this particular software. For example, it must be able to store the records electronically. That is an obvious thing. But also, the previous speaker talked about the file plan management. We've got a file plan that talks about all the records created within the organization. So even with this records management system, there is a need for it to accommodate the usage of that particular file plan. Because remember, I always tell people that, just think of any library. And I'm making a reference to library because a lot of people are very familiar with the library. If I can go to the City of Joburg library and ask the librarian there to say, what kind of system are you using to classify your books? And then he tells me that we are using the DDC. Then I don't need to use any system for me to search the information. I will simply go straight to the shelf and pull out the book. I did not consult anything. I just went straight to the shelf. Why? Because I'm very familiar with DDC. If, say, for example, the library book, it's about the science, I know I'm going to find it under class 600. If it's literature, I'm going to find it under 800. Same applies to file plan. If we are using the file plan, even tomorrow, if I'm not in the organization, everybody can simply go to the shelf and pull out the records. So in that case, it promotes business continuity. We don't have to wait for you to come to the office before we can pull out information from the shelf. So these are the things that you need to look at when you procure the electronic records management system. So now, it means that the records managers have got a very huge role to play, because now you are no longer responsible for management of records within the organization. You must also make sure that even the society out there benefits. Because remember, the records that you generate, and I always tell people that the most difficult part about the records management is that you manage something that you don't create. If I go to the office every day, I'm generating records. I rely on you to bring that records to the registry so that I can ensure proper management of that record. I used to work in these other government institutions. You know what they did? They used to follow what they call Nkantlamet. You know public protector, Tulima Donzel, when she was still the public protector. They used to follow the strategy they called Nkantlameta, where they prioritize the cases that have grabbed the media attention and invest a lot of resources on those cases. And then when they win, they know the office of the public protector win. It was happening in my organization where the CFO made sure that each and every little piece of record that is needed by the auditors is sent to the registry. The rest of the document, you can keep them in your office. He will not chase you for that. But the EFT payments, like your invoices, your contracts, and all sorts of things, if you miss and you fail to send that to the registry, you might be in trouble for that. I did not like the strategy because remember, the records management is responsible for all the records within the organization. But it was working for the organization because every time when the auditor comes, We give them the information, we get the clean audit, but it doesn't create the picture. It doesn't create the picture in terms of the proper record keeping within the organization. This is actually my last slide. So what we need to do as municipalities, first thing first, we need to appoint qualified people to manage records. I think a lot of people talked about that. And the reason why I did not even put it on my slide was because I know that is very much important. The appointment of a records manager it's part of the legislative requirement. If you check the National Archives and Records Service Act, especially Section 13 of the Act, it talks about the appointment of somebody to manage the records within the organization. Not designate. You appoint a person, and that person is supposed to be at the senior management level. And the reason why it's supposed to be at that level is because he also needs to influence the policy direction and have a records management discussion at the executive level. The other issue is the issue of capacity building. People need to be capacitated. And I remember I said we all create records. So we must be capacitated and ensure that we understand all the relevant policies and procedures when coming to records management. And then the issue of change management, there is a need for us to change the way we think and the way we do our processes within the organization. But then the most important part is to obtain buy-in. If people don't understand what is records management, then don't expect them, to assist you. So we need to make sure that we are all on the same page. And then the issue of benchmarking, there are some of the municipalities that are doing well. Like, for example, with the recent report from the Auditor General, they highlighted that the Midval a local municipality received clean audit for 10 consecutive years. What is it that they are doing? Maybe we need to visit the municipality. I don't know. Thank you very much.
Let us give Dr. Mojapelo another round of applause. Yeah, thanks, Doctor. Thank you so much. If you are here and you are a municipality, few thoughts that I've gathered. He will answer the questions from the floor. But if you are here, you are a municipality, we have the Information Regulator. There's an act called POPI, Protection of Personal Information Act 4 of 2013. As municipalities, if you are here, ensure that you register as a public body. You don't pay anything. You don't need a consultant. Make it a point that there is an information officer at your municipality. There is also a deputy information officer. This is what the doctor has covered. And then also he spoke about records management status. We need to migrate towards digital transformation. Government using a system called BAS, am I right? Basic Accounting System. So if we had to put all the 257 municipalities in one system, will this country collapse? It's for you to answer. Those who wants to speak under the presentation of Dr. Mojapelo, if you are there, please raise your hands. It's not every time that we have a doctor in our midst from UNISA. So if you miss this opportunity, next time he will charge you. Here it's free of charge. There's a hand here, and then there's also a hand that we have two hands. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make a remark. I do found in many cases when we are looking for information that it's exactly the POPI Act that cripples us. So to me, I can see that the Act can be useful, but when you are looking for specific information, that is the first reason that a municipality will give you not to give you the information you need.
Thanks, Doctor. Mine is on this thing called corruption, let's say maybe there is a archives in municipality or the storage in a municipality, then there's a sensitive issues, then we can file like in Cape Town, then the documents become banned. Then we don't have a firewall. As the presenter was saying, there are a lot of hackers. What is the policy that we should imply on that one? Because to hire a consultant to help us with that things is costly again. And we talk about the King Force, the one that is, you said is for free. It is not hackable now, or it is protected as a thing.
Thank you so much. I think that one is on cybersecurity. Very important question. Any other input? From the presenters here, they said they do not have actual presentations, but they will also make inputs. You are free to participate to answer certain questions. It is not necessarily that if it was Mr. Zulu or Dr. Mejapelo. I see there's a hand there. There's someone inspired at the back. The gentleman with the red beret here. Yeah. Oh, sorry, with the red color. With the red color.
Okay. Okay, no, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, even though we are not too much on records, but I'm propelled to maybe ask, because I felt this thing of records, in some instances, there must be intergovernmental relations. Like in our municipalities and other municipalities, each and every year there is a renewal of indigents, which I felt certain instances, when you go to SASSA, you are being declared an indigent, you are given certain amount. So why it doesn't link automatically with the municipality, say you are the recipient of SASSA, then the records automatically go through. So, but now municipality need to do the records, social development need to do the records, and home affairs need to do the records of the same person. So coming back to the issue of one software that we can able to use. So meaning that the government somehow is failing us to develop a software that can interlink all the departments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, yeah, there's a hand here. There's a hand here.
Thank you very much. My name is Mama Katani. I'm from Gauteng Department of Education. I just want to make an input, it's not a question, to say, while we are talking about digitization, I think we also need to look at capacitating the people who are working in records. Because as we said, most of the people that are in records, they are just being dumped, most of them. So if you look at those people and think that they would take records somewhere in the future, we are also leading ourselves to a failure in records. So I think we need to look at how do we capacitate them to make sure that they understand records. Because I look at how we also employ the registry clerks in our offices. We just employ. After 2-3 years, those people move to other units. So we are actually, I don't know how to say this, but I think the registry is still going down as we employ people. They are not capacitated in their own rights. So we'll find that you employed somebody who has HR, they want to move to HR. They are not interested into records. So I think it's important that when we do move to digitization or cloud, we capacitate our registries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe before we give Mr. Marokane, the archive sits here, and the other colleagues. There was a hand there. Maybe before we give Mr. Marokane, let me just share this point before I forget about it. We had the same challenge in the Northern Cape. So what we did, most of our municipalities that are 31, you have our mothers and fathers who joined registry 20, 30 years ago. So we applied, we helped them to apply to UNISA through what is called RPL. And then Dr. Mujapelo will tell you that UNISA will have, once you've done the RPL, They will then allow you then to do your, is it National Higher Certificate in Records Management. So others will start from that one, then they finish, then they do the senior higher certificate until it becomes a national diploma, go to a degree, honors, masters, either in information science or perhaps in records management. UNISA has a degree called Bachelor of Archives and Records Management. So I'm not the ambassador, but because we are pushing this program at home, I'm aware. So it is true that at times we recruit for the sake of filling a position, but we are not looking into the future. So it's one of the things that we can say to say those of us who are here and we have some of our clerks who are underqualified, how best through skills development initiatives can we come up with such interventions to help them go forward? Ntate Marokani, your hand was up.
Yeah.
And then I think I will allow Dr. Mojapuli to, our lunch will be served at 1:30.
Yeah.
So 1 minute, Ntate Marokani.
Yeah, thank you very much, Program Director. I think the first one is a comment, which I think both of the two speakers emphasize on the importance of record management. I think local government is one of the spheres that is being perceived to be most corrupt in terms of unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And the reason why we have that irregular is not that money has been irregularly being used by municipalities. It's because of there's no proper record management. Because when the AG comes, when looking for documents that you have used so much and much and much, where are the receipts, where are the slips that you have used? But if we can make sure that we prioritize record management, we have all the slips intact so that when the AG comes, you pull up, you give it to them. That will also improve the audit outcomes of our municipalities. The last one, and the Halamitwa, is the issue that was raised by Councillor Munyai. I think he is correct that there's no integration between the three spheres of government. But I'm happy to inform him that as Salga, we started the process of digitizing the indigent register. We did a project with CSIR, and now we are in a partnership with the Gauteng, COCTA, and the Premier's office, that we want to have a system that is going to link all the sector departments, Home Affairs, Social Development, SARS, so that we can monitor the movement of people who are indigent in the indigent register of the municipalities, because our lifestyle changes over time. But if I'm getting any income that is coming in, SARS will be able to, and the banks will be able to pick up that this person is no longer indigent, he's got an income and is eligible to pay his services. So it's something that we are working on, which will probably be launched around November according to the plan. But there's a service provider already appointed to integrate all the systems into one, so that we'll be able to monitor the indigent register of all the municipalities in the province.
Wow. Thanks so much. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Yeah, that will really assist us. Ntate, can we give Dr. Mojapilo the mic to respond? I'll request that I give you only 5 minutes, Doctor, and then I will request my other presenters here to say something as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Some of the questions were just comments, and I really appreciate the comments and also the work that has already been done by SALGA to integrate the systems within municipalities. And I think that is very much important, and it answers the questions that came from my brother this side. Let's think of the bank. If I open an account at this branch, it doesn't mean that I'm obliged to always come to the very same branch when I need service from the bank. And I think we need to take that angle. And it talks to the issue of digital transformation to say, if you are saying you serve the public, then it should not be limited in terms of the geographical space on whether I should be able to get the service from the municipality or not. So the issue of integrating all the systems is very much important. And the issue of the project that the municipalities are doing with the CSIR, I think I touched that on the slides, just that I was rushing through the slides. But then the issue of registry personnel, I don't know where this problem started, because if you check all the registry positions, they just need people with grade 12. Most of them. I'm not sure if it's also the same situation within your municipalities. And that's where the problem started. Because you take somebody with matric, that person can decide to do engineering. Or the person, he just wanted to get the job so that he can go to UNISA and further the studies. So that's something that we need to do. I think we need to professionalize the registry services where we can appoint people with matric. And I think the librarians have made a very significant improvement in that, because in the past, they used to appoint people with matric to be the library assistant. Now they no longer doing that. They are appointing people with qualifications for that particular position. So it's where we need to start. But we are not saying people who are already there should be kicked out. No. We've got solutions within the academic institutions. You made reference to the issue of certificates in archives and records management. When we designed that certificate at UNISA, the main intention was to use it as a bridging course. You have the matric, but you don't meet the requirements to go to the university. Then you do that certificate. It's like a matric. That certificate is going to give you access into a formal qualification. So these are some of the possibilities that we may consider. And then the issue of security. You may be a records manager and you may not be an expert in terms of the security and all sorts of things. You need to work closely with your IT department, because they might be well clued in terms of what needs to go into that. But also the issue of consultants. Some of the consultants, you can approach them for advice. I think they can do that. They can give you the advice. So that you can use these systems. And I mentioned that a lot of European countries are using FOSS. Don't you think that they are also scared of the cybersecurity and all sorts of things? And the reason why we even have a policy in South Africa that promotes the usage of those softwares, it means that there is a lot of things that we can benefit from using those systems. The issue of tendency where the municipalities are always using POPI, and that was also a debate when this POPI was introduced, to say now you want people to run away from accountability. But remember, the POPI talks about the protection of personal information. That one, you can't run away from it. It's the responsibility of the municipalities to protect the personal information. But in instances where such information is needed to protect someone's rights, then that's where there is limitation. If I feel like your information it's going to protect my rights, or is within the public interest that it should be disclosed, then that particular information is supposed to be disclosed. Because even when you check PAIA actually overrides all the legislations that deals with information. So it means that within PAIA, you can get access to, although PAIA also pronounce on some of the limitations. But if it's within the public interest, then it must be shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Maybe then, without wasting any time, we just have 10 minutes max. 10 minutes max. I would therefore request that my other presenters from DSEC, from NARSA, and then Paul, maybe just to have a minute or two, just a bite. You can give them the mics. Ladies first. You may start the side.
Greetings, colleagues. My name is Buitumelo Tabalaka. I'm the archivist for records management at the Gauteng Provincial Archives. Um, a lot of things that I wanted to say today have been said.
Yes.
So I'm not going to repeat them. I just want to make emphasis on one thing. As the Gauteng Provincial Archives, we do inspections at the municipalities. And I was a bit shocked to hear that Mfuleni are implementing a file plan that we have never seen and never approved. So, which means that we need homework to do to go back to Mfuleni and check what is happening. Because in essence, there is no file plan or policy that can be implemented without the Gauteng Provincial Archives having a look at it. From the municipality and from the departments as well, at provincial level. At national, they deal with national departments. That was the first thing that I wanted to say. The second thing is that when we do inspections, there are questions that we have on the inspection sheet. The first one is that, do they have an appointed records manager? And most of the time we get a no. They don't. They don't have. It's only a few municipalities that do have records managers that are appointed. But the rest of them is just somebody who was put there to say, sit here and do this. In the meantime, we'll come back to you. Another question that we ask when we do our inspections in municipalities, we ask if they have a relationship with other stakeholders within the municipalities. And we make emphasis on M&E and we make emphasis on IT. The reason we are doing that is for cases whereby there's a system that is being implemented or that is being used within the municipality and it is not talking to records management. Because most of the time we find that there's a system that is being used, but it is used only for the operational side of the municipality, and it doesn't talk to the record side of the municipality. So we encourage municipalities that they need to have a relationship with other stakeholders, especially IT, whereby they can tell IT that this is what we need under records management, and IT might as well advise them to say, with that in mind, this is how you can do it, this is how you can go. And if there are glitches as well, IT is always there to assist them. And then I think I forgot my last point.
Don't
Yes.
worry, we will discuss it later on.
Those were the
Yes.
2 points that I felt that they need to be put out there to say, please, no municipality or department, I see department people here, yes. But for municipalities, I don't see the faces that I usually work with, only 2, 3 that I see. But no municipality or department can start using a file plan without us looking at it. And we are there, we are available to advise you and to assist you. If you are stuck with anything in terms of specifications, we are there to assist you. Whether it's you creating your records room or your registry or whichever way it goes, we are always available 24/7 to assist you and give you advice.
Thank you so much. Let's give Ms. Tabalaka a round of applause. Ms. Mbele, over to you. 2-3 minutes as well. You may come, yeah, you are fine, or you can come and stand next to me.
No, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Good day, colleagues. My name is Bonile Mpele. I'm from the National Archives. Colleagues, a lot has been shared and I will not repeat it. However, I want to emphasize the Act, the National Archives Act, because it has been said, unless if colleagues are aware of that Act, are you aware of it? Yes, no?
Yes.
Sorry? Yes. Okay. That act is a good act to start at, but also if you're not complying with that act, you can be charged jail time together with a fine. So it is very important that you start within your desk, practice clean desk policies, colleagues, because that's when and when you can be able to sort out the mess in the storage areas. When you create record, ensure that you are familiar with the file plan, you reference it because you are the one that creates and you're the one who's supposed to determine the file references. And also ensure compliance when you're working with records, storage areas. The one colleague asked about the authenticity of record. How do we ensure authenticity of records? It's simply by ensuring proper record keeping. And also, a lot has been said about professionalizing the space and all that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mbele. A round of applause. And then Paul will be the last one with a minute or two. Then we are up for lunch. Yes, Paul?
Thank you. My name is Dr. Paul Mullen, and I think lots been said about the problems of records management, the things that need to be put in place. We need policies, we need procedures, we need systems, we need file plans, whether the systems are free and open source, whether they're paper systems. Those are all really important. A properly qualified records manager at the right level, properly qualified registry people at the right level, all absolutely essential. But I think one of the things that's often overlooked, and it started to come out with the discussion about the relationship with the other stakeholders. And we spoke about the relationship with IT, and we need relationships with the auditors, we need relationships with the national provincial archives. But we need relationships with the business units. Because if we don't ensure that we get accurate, complete records to start with, as close to the transaction as possible, our processes are flawed from day one. So we really have to start engaging with the business, with supply chain, with finance, with HR, with town planning, whoever it is that creates, generates, and receives records, that those records are ingested into our systems, paper or electronic, as close to the transaction as possible so that they can't be edited there afterwards. Because if we don't do that, if we only get those records 3 months or 6 months or a year down the line, we can never trust them. They will never be complete. We don't know if they're complete. We don't know if they're all there. So we've got to start engaging with the business and making sure that we get those records, we get all of those records into records control so that they can be protected throughout their life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I would kindly like to take this opportunity to thank you all. You've been a good audience. Give yourself a round of applause. Without any waste of time, I would request that we adjourn now for lunch. When we come back, the program